Hi, I'm Dave Epstein. Welcome to this edition of Growing Wisdom, and today we're talking about grafting cacti. Here's just a few examples of some cacti which have been grafted. You can see how unique they are. Now let's learn a bit about how to do it. Why would you want to graft a cactus? Well, a couple of reasons. One is perhaps it's not doing very well and you can increase the vigor of it. Also, it's a good way to propagate them. I brought in my friend Oaks Austin to help me out. He is a cactus expert and he's going to show us how this works.
Hi, I'm Oaks. We're going to graft this Trichocereus burgessii onto this Trichocereus spacianus in order to propagate this so I can have two instead of one. In order to graft your cacti, you need a thin, sharp blade, something to sterilize it. I'm using alcohol here. Your cacti, some rubber bands or something else to hold your scion onto your stalk, and optionally a bag or other enclosed space that keeps humidity high. I'm going to take the alcohol and soak the paper towel with it so that we can wipe our blade. We're going to basically wipe the blade after every single cut to make sure that it's perfectly sterile. Okay, so first we're going to cut our stalk, which is basically the plant that's acting as the roots in this case. Kind of hurts, but you get used to it. All right, now we're going to cut the edges of the stalk. And this is to ensure that as the plant shrinks, as it dries, it doesn't push the scion right off. We don't need to do this if we keep the environment around the plant sufficiently high, because then it will shrink less, but we're doing it in this case just to be safe. As you can see, when you leave a cactus out, it quickly loses moisture from around the cut, and this causes it to shrink up, which could easily push the scion off. If you leave the plant in a humid environment, like I left this one for the last 4 days, it calluses much more slowly and loses less water. So as you can see, this has hardly shrunk up at all, and the scion is still perfectly fine. Now we're going to cut the scion. The term scion just refers to the plant that you're putting on top. I'm going to recut the stalk to make sure that it's a nice flat, clean cut before we put the scion on.
While I'm watching Oaks do this, notice he has sterilized in between each of his cuts with the alcohol.
I'm leaving this little hat on top of the new cut I made so that I can take my time cutting the scion again. And that way the cut will stay moist and hopefully sterilized.
So another sharp cut to the scion.
Now, as you can see, there's a little ring in the center there, and that's the vascular bundle. So what you want to line up these rings like Olympic rings or like a Venn diagram. So instead of putting it right in the center, I'm going to put it slightly off center. Now I'm going to use my rubber bands to hold it down. And I'm going to try to be careful. If you're using a larger pot or a larger stalk, you may need to tie multiple rubber bands together to get a longer length so that there's not too much pressure. But you do want a fairly significant amount. I'm going to reposition it slightly. I think that should be good.
Oaks, tell us more about those vascular bundles, just so someone at home trying to do this is really clear on what they're doing.
Basically, every cactus in the center has this ring, and this is where all the nutrients and water is transported through the stem. So you need to line those up so that the stalk can transport water and nutrients to the scion. You can clearly see the ring here in this piece of the stalk. Now we're all done. We can just put this in the bag. We could seal it. I think I'm going to seal it for a couple days, and then I'm going to open it for another couple days, and then I'm just going to take it out, put it back in the greenhouse. And it's really that easy. I'm going to put it up on a shelf out of the way and just leave it for a few days. It really shouldn't be super light or super hot, just a moderate temperature. In here it's probably about 70 degrees all the time, and the light is significantly low up there, but it's fine. It's just, it needs time to rest and start to fuse together out of the sun and out of the heat. These two here I grafted on Wednesday. It's now Sunday. I just took them out of their bag, and I'm going to leave them in here for another day or two in the dark, and then I'm going to put them back out in the greenhouse, and hopefully they're going to start growing.
Oaks, that was really cool. Thanks a lot. And you can see just how easy it is to make more cacti, and it's just a fun little experiment. For Growing Wisdom, I'm Dave Epstein.